Okay, welcome. This is the Technology Committee meeting of February the 5th. We're getting started at about 6:10. This is Steve Miller. If you want to introduce yourselves for attendance.
Julia Olson.
Brett Cooper.
Kathy Lee.
Scott Max.
Tracy Driehaus.
Okay. With that, Scott has been kind enough to provide an agenda. I guess we can just walk down through the agenda.
Yep, so I'm actually going to turn it over to Kathy for the first item for this Skyward Financial, there's a new word for it, Skyward Financial System bid management component.
Okay, we pretty much implemented Skyward and we're going ahead with it. When I implemented it at Exeter, this bid management component I thought it was part of the initial package, but now they did it differently. We got AR instead, just a little bit. I didn't notice that this wasn't on the contract, but this is one I think is very essential. It's only $963 a year for the licensing fee. Training and the initial investment will be $3,500. The training is $700. We'll pay a yearly fee. I already have it in the budget, the numbers you've already seen. I've just put it in there just as a placeholder. So our total investment would be $5,163 for the first year. I was going to have it implement on 7/1. The cost saving factor is that right now we do bid management on spreadsheets. The spreadsheets are then sent to the schools. The secretaries then distribute to the appropriate teachers or the people that are coming. Then it comes back to the secretaries who then implement this into the major spreadsheet and then put the POs in. This will all be within Skyward and it'll automatically generate the requisitions into POs. So it's a complete time saving to do this, and just the $963 is money that we save more money on bid well beyond that. So it definitely pays for itself.
Does it stay that amount every year, or like you said that there was training involved? Is it just like a fixed amount of money per year training, even if we don't have anybody new to train?
Well, it's $700 the first.
Just for the first year.
That's it.
Oh,
and that's
okay.
gone. It's
Okay.
only $963 a year for on and on.
Okay.
Probably a raise in that.
Well, yeah. What is there like a 5-year contract or multi-year?
You'll have a multiple year, the same, that'll mirror the same with the Skyward package.
So it'll have the
now.
same end date?
Yes.
So,
I'll end it all the same, so it renews the same.
Okay,
The price right now, if I lock into the price right now, it's cheaper than what it's going to be if I wait any longer, in a couple months. So I was trying to get it in right now, and then I'll have it implemented up and running by 7/1. Hopefully before then, I'm trying to get the bid that we're doing right now in there, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to overwhelm everybody.
Okay. Do we have a target? We have a contract for?
I can have a contract generated up. He just didn't have it. He was out of town.
No, I'm just wondering about how long the 963 is locked in. Is it,
The same amount of time as the regular size, it's 4 years.
Which
We have a
is-
5-year contract with that.
You mean like within the next month, how long?
No. Yeah, how long of a
Oh,
contract?
okay. Yeah, that would be terms of the agreement, but usually it is concurrent with any.
It's going to be, it's
So how long? I guess how long is the other agreement?
What is this Skyward?
4 years.
4 years,
It's 4
okay.
Yeah, I'm mirroring exactly what
Okay.
was already approved with that
Yep.
one.
All right.
Um,
And you
He
said
was
it.
out of town, that's why we don't have the contract, but I did want to put a placeholder if we could.
Okay. Yeah, you said that it's $5,000 initial year. Is it?
The very first year, like right now when we pay it, it'd be $5,163, and I can take it out of this year's budget because I do have extra money to take it out. So then I'll remove it from next year's budget if we can go ahead with it.
Or you'll still have to have the 963 in for next year's. Right.
Yep,
Yeah.
$963, that's
Yeah.
it.
And what's you said a $3,500 initial investment and 963
That's
years.
actually purchasing the initial investment, just like we did the initial investment
Mhm.
for the actual Skyward, it's the program uploading. And then there's training involved, so they'll have the one-on-one with Michelle.
So that's the other expense. That gets us to 5,000. The training is 3,500 plus 963, and training gets us to 5,000. Is it?
Yeah, it's $3,500 for the initial investment, $700 for training, $963 for the license.
Okay.
Total $5,163.
Okay.
And that would be for this year.
I'd implement it this year as soon as possible to get everything loaded in there, because then what that does is, it does,
And then a 963 would be concurrent years.
that's what I would do. I would make sure that they're, like, even like with the Skyward that we did this year, they were billing us the whole $18,000, the license fee for the whole year, but I told them, no, I'm only paying half because I'm not using the program. As soon as I can implement this and pay the cost to get it in, but if we actually don't use it till 7/1, that 963 doesn't come into play until 7/1.
Unless somebody else shows up, we can't make a recommendation to go forward, so I guess we're gonna discuss it at the COW. So, and I mean, I would vote to do it, but, you know, we can't make the recommendation today, but yeah, we'll talk about it at the COW.
Absolutely.
Sounds good?
So
Then we can approve it by.
Placeholder, and then I'll have the.
And then if that's good with everybody else, we can put it on the end of the month? Does that work?
Perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Unless somebody else shows up, we can do it at the end of the month, at the end of the meeting.
I'll send her the email. I don't have the contract right yet for the board.
So you're gonna have to give your spiel again, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It might come out better the second time. It's smoother the second time.
Okay.
That's it?
On the budget front, now we're starting to get to the thick of things on my department's end. From the E-rate perspective, you'll remember that's for the network equipment. Those requests are out to vendors currently to return pricing. So that's via the PEPM contract, which is a consortium contract in the state that E-rate requires that we solicit vendors for on that front. I anticipate those numbers being back within the month of February, so more than likely next month we'll be discussing the actual returns. You'll remember that we get 50% reimbursement from the feds for that, so when we show numbers, cut it in half, 50%, 50% is our cost, 50% is reimbursed to the vendors based on our E-rate eligibility. All buildings, with the exception of the middle school, will be able to be upgraded under the E-rate program. At the middle school, the amount of switches that need to be upgraded exceeds the number or the funds allocated to that building via E-rate. So essentially what that would mean is full cost for any remaining equipment. Now that is also the building that we've discussed previously that has more switches.
I was gonna ask you if you've evaluated whether that building is appropriately scaled.
Yeah, no, it's not. It has every link activated in each room. So currently my staff's going around doing an inventory of active links in each classroom, and we'll be able to do an average, but that number is only going to continue to go down based off of just wireless devices. We have not really deployed any new wired devices in my time in the district. It continues to go laptop, that sort of thing.
And
So-
you've already dealt with the dead spots
Yeah.
in the wireless network, right?
Yep.
So you have all the wireless infrastructure in place?
That building is coming to completion this month, actually. We were doing that since January for that building. So while I still believe there is the possibility that the switch number will exceed E-rate, I don't believe right now it's about 50% of the building wouldn't be covered. That number I do
Got it.
intend to come down.
Yeah,
Um,
you don't think it's gonna be reduced by half?
No, not
Yeah,
by
so-
half, but
So
I
it'll
do-
still be outside E-rates, okay.
Yeah, but I do believe it will still be a sizable number.
Yeah, I know we talked about it before.
Yeah, so that's really just a tedious job going room by room and identifying actual capacity there. And we did clarify with E-rate that we do not have to, we can bid out the maximum number of switches we could need, and we do not have to actually order those come July 1. We could reduce the quantity later in the year. So we'll order those probably on a more rolling basis as we confirm locations within the district or within the building. We're satisfied with the number of connections we'll order in that capacity. So we're not going to do a bulk order in that building compared to other buildings where we're more comfortable with the network design in that one.
Okay, that doesn't impact the pricing?
What's that?
That doesn't impact the pricing?
No, because it's a state contract, there's really minimal movement. Most of the vendors come within a couple bucks. Meraki, the network gear that we use, it's based largely on who has a deal registered as far as a vendor. So whoever does the most business in the state basically gets that extra little push to come in under budget. So we don't anticipate a huge variance there as far as quantities go on that front.
Okay.
On the telecommunication provider, we touched on this really actually at the end of last school year as far as our phone service provider, who that's currently Windstream. I do believe there's really the opportunity to capture some savings there. There's two types of phone technology out there. PRI is more akin to what you think of. It's not truly an analog line, but it comes from that architecture or their SIP. which is, if any of you use Service Electric at home for your phone service, it's that same technology. It's more so going out over an internet connection.
Yeah.
And I do believe we're at a point now, after our phone service upgrade last year, to
I hope we're going SIP.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're currently doing a review of our services through Windstream to match those up. We maintain 2 PRIs right now in the district for redundancy, so phone calls can originate either from the middle school or the high school. We want to keep that same redundancy in place just because it is phone service. We will still maintain some analog lines in the buildings. Those are used for elevators, fire alarms, and then we do maintain an analog line that's in the office. Again, if network communication were to go down, we still have the means to dial 911.
In each building that
So-
has the office, okay.
Yep.
So analog line, you're talking about POTS lines?
Yes, yep, that's exactly what they are. So more than likely, we'll bring forth a recommendation later this spring as far as a provider. A couple other districts that have gone ahead of us on that path within the last year, so reaching out to them just to hear their experience with the vendors. Service Electric,
Yeah.
they have a subsidiary, Iron Mountain, who will bid out. There's another one named Zito, so we'll have a couple different options there in the district. But again, I do think we can actually capture some decent savings on that front.
Good.
Beyond that, not too much else on the budget. Next month in March is when we'll start engaging Dell for the workstation order for the desktop computers. We'll also start engaging Apple on that front as well for the iPads at Monocacy for their equipment refresh.
How many desktops are we talking about?
I believe it's about 200 this summer.
Right.
Okay.
On the website hosting / redesign, looking and talking with Blackboard, that's who we continue to engage with. They are the ones that integrate with our mobile app and our mass notification system, Connect Ed. In discussions with them, there is an opportunity, actually almost similar to what Kathy was describing as far as Skyward goes, to do some of the design and build out work this year at a reduced cost and avoiding any hosting costs if we do not come online until July 1. That would be the vendor I would recommend that we go with from an integration standpoint. Again, you'll remember discussing in December, they were about $2,000 higher than SchoolPoint, who was the other vendor we engaged in. However, we felt the integration and total system functionality was better compared to SchoolPoint. That price increase was actually justified from a usability perspective. And now knowing that we could look to spread that cost out over 2 fiscal years, and also just really from a project rollout and workload perspective, that's something we'd really like to continue engaging and bring back actual costs to you, what that would look like.
The more expensive company, were they the ones that guaranteed ADA compliance?
Yes, yep,
Okay,
both,
that's what I
and in all transparency, both would maintain ADA
Oh, okay.
compliance. Blackboard had a little bit more of an automated fashion, whereas SchoolPoint was more of a manual scan.
Right. Yeah.
Blackboard captured it as it was.
Like as if we tried to upload something that the font wasn't big enough or whatever, they would fix
Yeah.
it on
Right.
in
Yeah.
real time.
Yeah,
right?
correct. Yeah, it was more of a proactive than a reactive
Got it.
implementation there.
And how much is the implementation cost?
So that's where we'll have to go back and get revised numbers because they had as a total package. Subtracting out hosting, I believe it's going to be probably ballpark about 12,000. But again, we'll engage them just to separate out. The yearly hosting was about 8,000 year after year.
So we still would have it hosted, it's just not going to be charged this year, is it? Or-
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
they would host it, but because it wouldn't be publicly available, they
Right.
wouldn't charge it for any hosting since no one's using other than internal staff to do the upload of content and that sort of thing.
And they maintain the content then moving forward, or
We maintain it. Yes,
we
correct.
maintain it?
We maintain it.
Okay.
How bad is the learning curve going to be for teacher pages?
So actually, teacher pages either exist right now in Google or in Schoology.
Oh,
So
okay.
this would not really impact
No,
that.
it shouldn't impact them.
No.
Okay, good.
But for any staff in the buildings, still, it's a WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get typing like a Word document. So it's not on there, and it's actually probably easier.
Got it.
Okay, so you're thinking that the $12,000 bill cost, we could split it between this year and next year, or?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the other benefit for that also is just engaging stakeholders. So there's a lot of opportunity for improvement on the current site as far as layout information, different things. So that type of project is much nicer to engage while everyone's still in the district.
Yeah.
While I enjoy the peace and quiet of the summer, it also makes it more difficult to engage different people on that aspect of it as well. So that would be the other motivator, just for a easier rollout for us.
I guess as far as maintenance, is that something we get students involved with? It just triggers, I know we had someone that just won an award for website design.
Yeah, I mean, I know other districts do it. Peckaway Valley and Lancaster, their students are heavily involved in their website maintenance. So,
Good.
yeah, there's really no reason. Security, as far as that goes, is built into it, so we could limit the locations that they would have ability
Good.
to maintain. So, it's a worthwhile discussion. There's really no reason I wouldn't want to move forward. Just make sure we have the right kids
Sure.
in charge.
I'd like it if we integrated it into our journalism class.
Yeah, journalism, the yearbook class, Mr. Palmer's multimedia. There's a couple different.
Some of
programs you
Mr.
can do.
Orum's classes too.
Yep. Yeah, there's a couple different areas you can easily touch on that.
Okay. Okay, anything else on the
Nope, nothing.
web? No? Okay.
On the one-to-one status update, nothing really to report out of the high school. That continues to go well. Based on the success of the high school's one-to-one, Dr. Cooper and I have had some preliminary discussions on what that would look like, next stage, rolling back towards the middle school, and the feasibility of that. So,
Sure.
roughing out that plan, first step would obviously be the professional development of the staff. So looking at that for next school year to get them familiar with the iOS platform, getting comfortable working with an iPad and integrating that in their classroom. Tentatively, it would look like an 18-month rollout, so you wouldn't, from a budgetary perspective, have any impact till the 2021 school year. Ideally, looking at potentially rolling out calendar year 2021, so in the winter of that school year for student use. But that, again, is preliminary, and we'll continue flushing that out. But that would give us a solid year of professional development, similar to what we did at the high school, plus a couple of additional months, just because that building would need some additional supports. They just haven't had the device in their hands prior to like the high school did as well. So that would allow us the ability to start hitting them with the same type of professional development we did on Schoology, on Apple Classroom, and that sort of thing. The nice thing being that we do have the high school as a nice blueprint now for what worked, what didn't work, and even what is reality versus what we planned on paper from that project.
Do we have extra iPads right now at the high school that could be put in the hands of teachers to start the development a little earlier than we did with the high school?
We don't have that quantity.
Okay, because
yeah.
you would need like 80?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do have a small supply, really earmarked.
And those
this.
are for, I know those are
Yeah.
for like breaks and cracks and I know,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
So we would need to order them from the vendor.
Correct, yeah,
when
and that was
happens.
included in
Okay.
the budgetary numbers
Okay.
for them in general.
Okay.
But, we're a valiant effort, but we just don't have that surplus yet.
Got it.
And we definitely would want to stay with Apple. And not
Yeah, I think just from a bridge perspective for the students to go from the middle school to the high school, keeps that seamless nature for them, that they don't have to use two platforms. And overall, that has worked well for us at the high school. There really hasn't been too many learning curves or platforms that we haven't been able to access on the device either.
Is the plan still that when they come to the end of their useful life, we offer them to the students to purchase if that's what they would like to do, or no?
So that was if we did it on a grade level basis. Because we did the whole building,
Yeah.
we don't have that ability. We'll end up trading them back in more so because we'll have to do them in bulk rather than
I see.
phase them out.
It won't
gradually.
be like 200 go out of phase
No.
Right.
at a time. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I assume we're taking them all back from students and handing them out again. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
All
definitely.
right.
In the summer we'll collect them. We're working on a plan, so.
I
AP
missed that day in
coursework-
class, I'm sorry. I missed that day at technology committee.
We'll look to try and get them back out over the summer for any coursework, AP work, and that sort of thing. Pottsgrove has a nice model that if the students prepaid for their insurance for the upcoming school year, they did reissue them back.
Early.
Yep,
Okay.
and I think that's a fair compromise. It allows us to get them back, do our inspections and our updates, but
That would be
Also-
nice when we get down to the middle school too, because they have, especially in English, they have work that they do over the summer too.
Oh, yeah, particularly, the 8th grade heading up to 9th, absolutely. I remember those days. But yeah, it's been interesting. to
It'll be
see.
nice that they can turn it in without having to come to the office
Exactly.
from 8 until noon, Monday through Thursday.
The guidance office, thrilled.
Yeah.
So that'll continue to be a topic of discussions as we move forward, flushing that out. But again, as you guys remember, we really wanted to gauge the success of the high school before we really venture down, and
I
knock
guess-
on wood that we've been
Seems
pleased
like
with how the high school went.
technology's gone
Right.
fine, we still need to make sure that we get it rolled into the curriculum. and-
Yep, exactly.
And we can't completely cut off the funds for books, because we are still in a situation where sometimes we need to purchase textbooks, so.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was a misunderstanding even on my part, that, when the changeover occurred, people thought that the budget for textbooks was going to completely disappear unless it was at the elementary school, and it's not that's not the case yet.
Yeah, decreased,
No,
but
yeah.
Decreased,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yep. At one meeting, I know Preston explained it well, that as far as the hierarchy, that we'll look free digital,
Right.
paid digital, paid physical print
Physical
at
book,
that
right.
point. And we continue to run the faculty through that methodology for each course.
Right.
With reasonable success, but yeah, there's still some one-off AP courses or different things like that they did have a physical text for.
Right.
Okay.
On the document management platform, so that was the one that we were kind of in a holding pattern until January, because the county was doing a countywide event for us to evaluate different platforms. So they ended up having 3 different vendors there, all focused on document management, trying to go paperless with these cumulative folders and that sort of thing. One of the vendors was Square 9, the one that we've engaged in.
Yeah.
And after that presentation, we would like to maintain course in engaging them in the
Good.
project rollout. The other 2 vendors were okay, they just didn't have the ease of use. The interface wasn't as flexible, and their licensing was a little more hokey, a little bit more variable from a storage capacity and that sort of thing, whereas Square 9 is a concurrent user, so we know how many users that we have in the system, and we can control that license,
Okay.
and not dependent on an explosion of documents now driving our licensing costs if we
Okay.
come on board fully with it. So again, in March I'll be coming back to them. I was hoping to have that for this month, but they've been fielding some questions back and forth with us that we haven't been able to finalize what we feel is a comfortable number there.
If
But-
it does get, if we do discuss it in March and get a recommendation one way or the other for the end of March, when do you think that you'd be starting to?
That was something we were targeting for the new fiscal year, so
I
that was not
see.
something we were looking at for this school year.
Okay.
There's a couple different ways you can go paperless. Some districts, I've seen success that they kicked it off from a student record perspective with kindergarten registration. So
Okay.
that's about to occur right now, so that would be
Yeah,
more of a
we'll miss that
springtime
one, yeah.
rollout. When you look at financial records, it makes more sense to align that with a fiscal year in July. Now,
In
we-
July 1st, yeah.
Now, we wouldn't be ready to hit the ground running that fast, but that's, some minimal back scanning there, and you can continue to roll forward in that regard. So it all depends. You don't want to go with all records all at once, so depending which record series we wanted to start with, that would ultimately dictate, the schedule for the rollout.
Did we talk about, at some point saying all new records would be put into the system right away and work through the backlog?
Yeah,
We were
that-
talking about doing that, it's picking a drop dead date and say everything from here on forward is digital and just work through the backlog.
Yeah,
That was-
that's exactly the best practice, just
Okay.
from a knowledge perspective, so you know where to look for things.
Right.
And I've seen both. I've seen some areas where they just went paperless moving forward, and all they did was purge paper records behind them. They didn't necessarily backfeed information in. It's a matter of manpower and really use of the system, how you'd like to handle that. Some records remain for a substantial amount of time. Others could be as low as 3 years. So it depends just how you want to handle that backfeeding of information in to the system. But the benefit there, again, is making sure we are adhering to our record retention schedule, which,
And confidentiality
It
issues.
should.
Speaking of which, is that documented,
what's that?
our records retention?
It is a board policy, yep.
Okay.
It's, I'm gonna say either 800 or 900 series.
Okay.
I do believe, as we go forward with this project, a month ago I did review that. There are some updates that would need to be there.
Do we follow the tech? No, no one does.
But student records in particular, it used to be that you had to keep them 100 years. That changed several years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so.
Right down to 99.
What's that? Yeah. So, that one in particular would really ease a burden.
Yeah.
From a maintenance perspective, we determined what that appropriate amount of time is.
And we'd have to go look and see what the new one is.
Yeah, yeah. It's, I believe they've left it open-ended as far as the district. I'll have to review that again, but I believe the district can essentially define.
Oh, we can make our own.
Yeah, now there are other records, special ed records and different things that do have a set period.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know, you obviously have to, you don't have a special ed record and not other records there, but it's.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's facility records, there's,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, you of course would know.
But, yeah, everything's got its own defined,
Yeah.
whatever.
But again, allowing the system to flag those files for us.
When they're ready to
Exactly.
be dumped, yeah.
Yep, correct.
Okay.
So again, hopefully we'll have a fleshed out proposal that we can actually dig our teeth into then and start looking at that.
Do you have any numbers in the
Okay.
current budget?
What's that?
Any financial numbers in the current
We
budget?
did, we had 40,000 budgeted in this current budget, so that would obviously be our mark that we want to keep them at or below for implementation. And that was an implementation number, not a recurring number. We'd obviously want to see that go down in year 2.
That was for, like, getting set up and starting on the backlog?
Correct,
Yeah,
yep,
okay.
correct.
Okay.
And then.
Oh, number 6.
Yes, yes. And then we will see it live this month, if not this month, first week of March. We're finalizing student eligibility in the system. So free and reduced students, when they sign in, they see for AP exams, the discounted rate
Discounted rate.
for it. So that's our last component. Otherwise, about a week ago, I had a demonstration with them. They showed us that this cool store, we'll call it, is online with all the AP exam
So,
information.
AP exam, will people be able to pay for their prom tickets?
We could essentially do that.
How about
It's just a matter of,
spring sports?
what's that?
Spring sports.
When is that activity? That one I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't know, because I saw an email's gone out, at least to the softball players. That,
Second week of March.
Yeah, so they probably have activity fee. It could be close this month.
Okay.
well, yeah, the email said that it was on the old system, that
Okay.
you could
Okay.
use the old system, but it's a $5 fee, and don't do it, send a check.
Yeah. Yeah. The sports one has been our holdup just because of how we structure that. It's not a computer-friendly discountable option because you have your first sport, your second sport, but then you have the family cap, and the family cap doesn't really match up to total cost how if you were stacking.
It doesn't, yeah. We may look to do something to simplify that for
Yeah,
next year. But
We also weren't sure if when people would go to pay something, if the money ultimately got written, if you wrote a check and it ultimately got written out to Daniel Boone Area School District, but that money eventually ended up in an activity fund for a specific group, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to use the system.
So actually, Kathleen and I just had a conversation about that. We can assign general ledger codes to
Oh,
items
excellent.
in the background. So while they will see a large pot of money sitting there to transfer into the general fund, we can align items to specific codes in the
Cool.
budget.
So like if I don't know, like the class of whatever year this is, 2019,
Yeah.
had like their class trip wasn't paid for, that they could do that.
Yeah, they could,
theoretically,
yeah.
Something like that, even though the money goes into that class's
Correct.
activity
Yeah, you would just
fund.
assign that item.
Okay, excellent.
Yep.
Good.
So,
We weren't sure the last time we talked about it.
yeah, I mean, it really what it just comes down to is whether the accounts hit our general fund
Right.
or if it was an outside group. If obviously they would hit our general fund, then we don't have a way to transfer it. But
The only ones that we knew we definitely can't do at this moment is music boosters, sports boosters.
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's
And,
don't
okay,
have engaged.
and that's fine.
Yep, correct. So yes, that project should be
Hooray.
nearing completion. I cannot wait, just mostly from the iPad insurance, because I cannot appreciate how many checks.
How many checks for $35 you got, or
Yes.
whatever it was, yeah.
The offices all laughed at me because they're used to it with field trips, but
Yeah.
I fully appreciate that. So yes, we'll be happy to have that finally
Okay.
struck off the agenda.
Be nice.
And we did decide that there wasn't going to be a fee for, we're eating the fee, is it?
That's correct, yeah, that had
To
to be.
encourage,
Yep,
yeah, yeah.
yep, yep.
Okay. Okay,
That's it.
that's it for the agenda. Any other new business items or anything else we want to cover?
Anything we need to talk about? Oh, you might have some updates on some of these, like money-wise, for next time, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, like, February, March timeframe is really when we start getting, the vendors are willing to quote out till the end of June and everything else, so we can get some pretty solid numbers at this point.
And all these things that we're talking about, when we meet again tomorrow for the budget meeting, there's a placeholder number that's a good faith
Yeah, none of
estimate.
this is new stuff.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
All right.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
if nothing else, we're ready to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, with that,
Thank you.
committee meeting ends at
After our
41.
After our